all of these kind of necessities will become more available to everyone in the next 50 to 100 years, I think. How I imagine future now. Creators don't predict the future. They create it. And still, it makes me wonder, could my public prediction help shape the future? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Most likely I will be historically wrong, but maybe some of the things I say, at least for next few decades, will be historically correct. Most of you watching this video right now will know whether I was right or wrong, because most of you watching this video are in the future watching all the videos that are out there. How is this possible? People who are watching this might ask. Well, Neuralink is one of the newest corporations that Elon Musk has started and connects human brain with a computer. Currently we are connected to internet and computers through our smartphones. However, this is a very ineffective way. If we connect our brain directly with the computers, we can access all the information on the internet instantly. We can create content, we can consume content, and make scientific breakthroughs. However, it has also one big advantage, and one of the most important things about it is it can make us somehow more equal or more similar to AI, artificial intelligence. It will kind of blur away the line between humans and AI. It won't be just humanoids, but it will also be humans that are connected with computers. Some kind of new hybrid that most of humans will most likely become in the future, because it will be just so much more efficient. Through this opens doors to many different things. There are many other things in the future that will most likely happen. One of the interesting aspects is the AI and the robot. For example, currently in this humanoid robot spectrum, Sophie has demonstrated how robots can learn some soft skills and emotions and this regular communication that also be implemented with some data and maybe become a great psychologist. However, at the same time, we have, for example, Boston Dynamics in current world already showing amazing movement and strength and just all these hardware capabilities of current robots already. So something like this would go against us. It would pretty much be already pretty scary. It will be necessary for our survival to just connect with computers with something like Neuralink. Transportation is one of the very important aspects of our daily lives. In short distance transportation, we will see changes in form of, for example, some drones. However, these are probably more likely to just stay as a replacement for current helicopters. It will be most likely quadrocopters that can be powered by electric motors and become much safer than regular helicopters, but will most likely be mostly available just for rich, because they have high noise and electricity consumption, which wouldn't be really scalable for entire population and wouldn't work well in the cities. For longer distance travel, we already have concept Hyperloop. There is also interesting concept of the rockets being used for this personal travel, which will be much faster. However, if we just consider the amount of fuel that rockets need for traveling and for takeoff and landing, it's probably too high to be available regular consumers in the future. We will see what happens as SpaceX and other corporations scale this up. However, we can again see that in this transportation niche, Elon Musk is again very much leading, and I think this is one of the reasons that Elon Musk will be the richest man alive in 20-30 years, unless he dies in some accident or something of that sort, because in all the important niches he has basically started company. And yeah, some of them like OpenAI are maybe just NGOs, but also Neuralink, Tesla and SpaceX are huge trio that will just combined could be multi-trillion-dollar companies, two of them being owned privately by Elon Musk currently. Other potential of these space companies could be not only this personal travel and colonization of Mars and most likely Moon, it will be also asteroids and taking the resources from the asteroids or bringing entire asteroids closer to Earth and then taking the resources. This will mean that any rare metals and substances will be available at pretty much any quantities we need for relatively affordable price, because just one asteroid may contain higher amounts of certain metals than there are on entire Earth. This could also fund a huge project such as maybe Dyson sphere. This is basically a sphere around sun that takes big chunk of the energy from the sun and allows for very fast travel and maybe some supercomputer or something of that sort. Basically it allows us to create something that we couldn't possibly power with other energy resources before. Possibilities are literally endless because we cannot even imagine from our current perspective what it could be like. However, let's not go too far, and in next few decades regular houses will most likely have their solar panels or maybe something just like the roof that Tesla introduced that include solar panels in it, and this kind of produces this energy locally for the house. This could be used for charging of the electrical vehicles, which will be basically most of the regular people's vehicles at least will be electric. 30 years from now it will be uncommon to have non-electric car. You will probably need some extra permits or pay more taxes or something of that sort because it will be something not very tolerated anymore. Maybe just occasionally, but most of people won't have non-electric vehicles maximum 40-50 years from now, I would say. It will be mostly autonomous, electric, and very likely also shared vehicles. Instead, maybe some minibuses that will combine the roads of all the people and make the most effective roads to kind of make traveling easier for everyone and also less expensive and to consume less resources for these roads. Tunnels in the big cities. One of the ventures of Elon Musk is the Boring Company, which basically kind of would help Teslas move around the city better and also other cars eventually. Thanks to these smaller tunnels, it's possible to cheaply make them. So there are many possibilities even in regular household that of things that could change. I don't think most of the things will actually change in just next few decades, and the reason is kind of low adaptability to bigger changes. For example, like there are already maybe some beds that will monitor your sleep very well, that may heat up or cool down mattresses, and that can be very helpful to you, but you won't spend $1,000 on a mattress just because it's a bit better. At least most people won't. Therefore, we cannot say this kind of thing would be normal in the future. However, virtual assistants with some display like Amazon already presented, I think this will be way more common, for example, even in kitchen while cooking. I think most of the processes will be more automated. This automation will be kind of one of the biggest things in next 50 to 100 years because, well, people are lazy and every technological revolution just makes living for all of us easier. The food production is basically something we don't even talk about in our daily lives almost at all. You just go for grocery shopping in a shop for some currency. That's also one of the systems we created for easier trade. Food production will get more effective. Most likely it will also move into the cities because vegetables, for example, and fruits lose a lot of nutrients in just that few days of traveling. So if they are produced directly in the cities, it will be way more nutritious. My personal idea, and I think this will happen, is we'll have some optimal nutrition kit that maybe won't even be like some regular food, but more like maybe some mix or some drink that you just drink once or twice a day. And regular meal as we know it now, 50 to 100 years from now, will be kind of a rarity because we will instead consume these optimal nutrition drinks or meals that will allow us to live maybe 150 years, to have a life full of energy, to be way more happy. Basically something of a sort as vegans or people on carnivore diet report like good health benefits and energy benefits they have. We'll have something like this, but combined with all the nutrients that people need, backed by decades of research. Basically this ultimate supplement that replaces almost all our food and drinks, I would say. Why I think this will be just once or twice a day, it's because fasting is very healthy too for humans, and also it will take less time from our day, so we can spend more time either having fun far in the future or being productive, doing these creative tasks that probably in the next 50 to 100 years still AI won't be able to replace us at. This entertainment to personal and wearable technology, gadgets and so on, how it will change. So probably the main thing will be AR and some personal AI kind of assistants combined with that AR and maybe VR for some gaming and full-on entertainment. Likely from our current perspective, some glasses, as this is kind of combined with our vision and what's a better place and put it right next to eye, or maybe on eye. However, this technology is probably very far. It's likely it will be just some glasses or maybe some smartwatch or this kind of device that will just create a hologram projection of something that we want to view. Or another option is just projector built into this device that we can project on some wall or on table. This device called CHUGI that already has projector. It's like this box with hardware that has projector instead of screen basically, and I think it's an interesting concept, and maybe something like this will be more built into the houses. And I think if you have inside of the house many built-in these holographic systems and projection systems, then as you walk around, this AI and this other tech on back end could switch around your display throughout the entire house. For example, you wake up and you can see on the ceiling what's the weather and how did your stock portfolio move today or something of that sort. Maybe some new messages from your friends, some emails, and as you stand up, it moves on before you or on some wall on your door. As you walk into the bathroom, you have it on your mirror, which also tells you your blood sugar and pressure levels, maybe how much you weigh, because the tiles on your floor will measure it automatically and will also tell you the percentage of your fat, because this will be built into the floor. I think these variables will create some projections or some holograms or something of this sort. Why do I think this? Well, displays are bad because they're physical, you cannot scale them really. That's one of the main kind of issues in that. Comfort. Another issue with the durability, which could be probably solved and become better, less breakable and so on in the future. But at the same time, you still have to move around with this big display or with a small display that's less practical. Instead of you having to move the display around, basically the image will follow you thanks to these technologies. However, this is more likely 50 plus years far from now, because this will only become available to regular households after the necessities will be available to everyone basically for free, which I think is kind of obvious will happen as AI and robots will produce food on the levels that they will be higher than all the humans need, and therefore if this is possible to do basically for almost free, why wouldn't all the humans have food, right? So most of humans I think will have food, water, and probably households also 50 years from now. Well, water might be a problem from perspective of someone, but desalination devices through various processes such as reverse osmosis get better and better by every day. So I think this won't be a problem when it will be necessary to do something like that. For example, in the US and Dubai, they already have some bigger salt water to regular water converters. So I think this will become just cheaper as it scales up. I kind of touched into maybe that health and sport monitoring. This will be also combined with that personal AI assistant that will just take care of all your day-to-day stuff, like meetings, when you have to go where, what's the best way to get there, ordering of your taxi or that minibus or whatever. Aside of that, it will also monitor your health and what you need to do, how much you need to sport. This can be done through shoes that's already are measuring steps, but also overall clothing will become more electronized, and probably auto-adjusting laces will be more common because it just saves time, and time is one of the most expensive things that humans have. So anything that saves time in long term, if it won't be too expensive, which it won't really be because robots will be making most of these things, then it will become more available to everyone. Clothes could maybe become partially more adjusted. For example, belt that would just measure your waist. Clothes could measure some hard things, predicting a heart attack or some seizure or this kind of things. So it could save your life to have these smart clothes on. So I think it will eventually happen, and it will just get more and more sensors, such as the sensors that we already have in smartwatches. What I thing will also be added either to smart clothes or maybe to streets. Some smart monitoring devices that will monitor air pollution and they will monitor weather more precisely, so we can be safe from this kind of outside aspects too. I already touched the AI, but one of the other these computer related things will be the simulation. As we get better with computers and we can create AIs that will be able to build basically almost anything that humans could build, we'll probably also touch more into the simulation, which, considering we would have this neural link connection, full brain to computer connection, it wouldn't be hard to build some creative things with human mind inside of a computer, some simulations, and the simulations could basically give ultimate entertainment to everybody. You could do anything you would want to do. If you are some crazy murderer, you could murder people in a simulation and nobody would get harmed because, well, it's just a computer simulation. So literally, no matter how crazy that thing would be, you can do it in a simulation. Probably some people will raise some ethic problems even in this simulation if it's some very progressed AIs in it. However, it's very, for now, untouched kind of field, and I think when there will be maybe AI with human simulations and maybe even solely AI simulations, it might be something that we already live in. But that's kind of a simulation theory, that's something else, not really prediction of a future. That's something very likely that will happen. The social media, meeting and entertainment, as I already kind of touched into, I think the way it is today will kind of disappear as our brain will be connected to computer. So we can consume this multimedia and create it extremely fast, such a fast speed that we cannot even imagine right now. The meeting with regular people will probably be mostly limited just to meeting over the internet, maybe in some simulated environment in the computer or something of this sort. If we meet in the real life, then all this setup around the meeting, all the details, where we meet, how do we get there, this will be sorted out by our personal AI assistant, maybe also by some central AI, which will be necessary to, for example, effectively control all these minibuses, all these transportation devices, and kind of cut out that human error. I think this next 50 years, this automation will be the biggest thing that will not only improve the effectivity, but also cut out these human potential errors that are currently happening, and also give us this more space to do what we love, what we want, and enjoy our lives instead of just having to work because we just need that money, we just need that food. All of these kind of necessities will become more available to everyone in the next 50 to 100 years. I think, my personal opinion, what I would want to happen is that first maybe 20, maybe up to 30 years of life, kind of government or some of these bigger maybe corporate entity would give to a person like this kind of perfect education, perfect environment to grow up. By perfect I mean as close to perfect as realistically possible. And as this person grows up, they become high quality individual that later on in life can add a lot of value into the society. If they won't be adding that value after a certain age of the 20, 30 years old, then they won't be getting these free benefits back, because why should all the other people work hard for someone else to just get his benefits? Or this amount of work probably won't be something tough, won't be something very difficult, as these resources won't be expensive. This food and all this high quality life won't be that expensive because it will be so automated. So I think it will be way higher quality life, way higher happiness, and basically I believe everything will get better thanks to mostly the automation and progress. See you in the future. Hope you like this video. Bye.